Hey guys, Harv here, and welcome back to Space Tourism, the Kerbal space program show where we basically try and make space tourism a thing. In the previous episodes, we've been doing all sorts of different things, going around the Jool System and landing this. Well, I say landing, we put this particular SSTO on a journey all the way out from Kerbal using extra fuel reserves mounted onto its back and onto its belly, and brought it all the way here to Lathe. Unfortunately, it's in orbit around Lathe, going in the opposite direction to the space station in which we want to dock it to. And that's a bit of a problem, because you can't really dock when your relative velocity is about 2,000 meters per second with the thing you're docking with. I mean, it depends on your definition of docking, really. If your definition of docking is just hitting each other at extremely high velocities, then sure, docking is certainly a possibility. I won't deny that. Instead, what we're going to do, because we don't have enough fuel just to kind of burn out and then swap our orbit round to try and match it in the correct direction, we're going to land. This seems to be the only thing that's really plausible to do at the moment. Unfortunately, when we do land, we probably won't have sufficient fuel. Oh no, we certainly won't have sufficient fuel to get back into orbit. Despite the fact that our air-breathing engines have plenty of fuel, we do not have any in the actual rocket thing. Well, I say we don't have any, we do have some, but not enough. So, landing. Does this mean that we're just going to strand our people down there on the surface? No, of course not. I mean, in any mission, the point of this entire segment that we're doing for the past few episodes is to try and establish a reliable way of getting from orbit around Lathe, down to the surface, and then back into orbit. With any mission, it's quite unlikely to be done in a single stage to go down onto an atmospheric planet and then back up, so we're probably going to need some way of refueling down there. And, well, we've got our plane, and it's shortly going to be down on the surface. Why don't we create that method of refueling? So that is what we're going to be doing today, after we land the plane, and get everyone out, and other things like that. However, whilst we are bringing the plane down, I do have an opportunity to talk, and I'm going to be talking about something that's going on next year, Space Day 2014. If you happen to be in the UK and you happen to have sufficient funds and or the means to get to Birmingham, well, it's near Birmingham, it's in Droitwich, there is a Space Day 2014 event being hosted by the British Interplanetary Society where I am attending. So you'll be able to meet me, if you want to. It's going to be a bit scary, for me, not necessarily for you. But because, you know, it's the first time I've ever actually... It's the first time I will meet anyone from YouTube in real life. You could all be stalkers for all I know, but I'm going to throw caution to the wind and meet you at this event, if you can. So there is a link in the description, and to essentially give some background detail, the admission to the event is free, and it's basically a series of lectures. Apparently there might be some activities there as well, but it's a series of lectures by some well-known space buffs in the industry, and there'll be discussions and stuff about interesting things that are going on in space, which is what I always talk about, or try to talk about, so you might as well call it an extended, abstract, HOCgaming thing. To be honest though, the actual event is probably going to be a lot more interesting than me, so I really would recommend going. Even if I weren't to go, I'd recommend going to BIS events anyway. I've been a member of the British Interplanetary Society for about 4 months now, and I've never regretted it. It's everything I've attended, all the events have been fantastic. So I do recommend you come, if you can. That is going to be on the 11th of January 2014. Obviously this is probably only going to apply to UK people who will be able to get there, and it starts at 9:30 AM and 4:30 PM, ends at 4:30 PM. So that's going to be all well and good. I hope to see you there. Anyway, back to the video. So we've managed to bring our plane down from orbit, and we have sufficient fuel certainly to turn around, bring it all the way back to the shore, and attempt now to make a landing. Man, is this gonna work? The problem being that it's really terrible place to land. I mean, we managed it before. We had a plane that we brought specifically to Lathe on top of a rocket, rather than under its own power, and as you see the icons on the left, the pink icon beside the yellow one is the one I'm talking about. You can't see it at the moment, just there, furthest to the left and up, yeah? That is the plane, the Lathe-bound plane that Jebediah Kerman flew here and crash-landed here, because it lost its power generation, so it couldn't do anything else. But here we go, the second plane to land on Lathe, and we want it to be remarkably closer to the actual site than that one was, so hopefully we'll be able to just bring this in 2.2 kilometers away, and we get lag because the physics starts loading. Oh, it's okay, it's fine. Bringing it down, landing gear are out, engines are essentially cut off, and we touch the ground, and we don't explode into a fiery ball of horrible death. So that's good. Continue coasting for a little bit. We technically could slow down immediately, but we want to try and get as close as possible, so we're just going to cruise, coast up this hill. Unfortunately, on a hill. Yeah, it would have been perfect if the base had been further down this hill in the kind of valley between the two. Unfortunately, that's not the case, and we can't really move it now, so that's never going to be the case. But anyway, it seems to work, and the plane is down on the ground fine, so that is all well and good. We have stopped it here. Admittedly, we don't have a ladder on the plane, so I don't know how they're going to get back in the plane, which is a bit of a problem when you think about it. I'm not going to risk closing landing gear on the basis of what happened to the other plane when we did that. Oh, okay, no, I'm going to throw caution to wind, do it anyway, and it broke. Okay, the wing snapped off. Right, so quick load. And no, we're not going to be closing the landing gear, because that would be an incredibly stupid idea. Suddenly rocks have appeared in front of us, I don't know how that happened. And instead we're going to have to try and move the plane a bit further to the base. A bit closer even, a bit closer to the base. And the idea I have is if we kind of park the wing right next to the platform, they might be able to jump from one to the other. Maybe. I mean, there is the tail things on the end of the wings that may prohibit that, but we shall see. Also, with point 23, this has been made a lot easier by tweakables. We can now steer landing gear, which is a fantastic rhyme. We're also going to reverse through a rock, but that's fine, that's all well and good. This is the Kerbal space program, of course. Reality does not have any effect here. And with this newfound power of steerable landing gear, we might be able to... we might have sufficient dexterity to actually pull ourselves in here. Backing away a little bit, getting a bit of a run up. Engines on full and smash into the thing. Slightly. Brake, 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 brake. Oh, okay. Hey, that's alright. Yeah, we can park it there. That works. Doesn't it? Probably. Yeah, they'll be able to jump onto the engine and then jump onto this segment or something. That should be absolutely fine. Past me doesn't think so. Past me thinks, no, it's got to be perfect. So drop back down the hill a little bit. Engines on again, very slightly this time. Don't want to break anything. And ka-chunk. Okay, nothing breaks. Although admittedly it does improve the situation somewhat. I don't know how they're going to get back on the plane. But which was the problem originally, of course, and I didn't really solve this, but at least now they have the ability to jump off of the plane onto the platform directly without having to walk a significant distance. They also have the ability to climb on top of the command module and then make a daring leap, and the first one is successful. 4 people will be leaving the plane today. Our 4 passengers who we loaded in the previous episodes, and Matska Kerman, the only pilots capable of flying the SSTO, will, because it seems likely that no one will be able to get back in, actually remain in the plane. This is just a precautionary measure in case we can't get back in the plane. And also because Matska Kerman loves his plane. I mean, seriously, the SSTO, it's his baby, he's the only one who can fly it. He designed the thing, probably. And this means that he wants to stay in and sleep in there, potentially. Oh, but the second Kerbal is not quite so athletic as the first, and he manages to, well, basically what's happened is that, you know, the snacks in the command module, they have snacks, because, you know, of course, you're sitting still, you're in the command mod for 2 years, and you're going to need something to eat. So this one seems to have got a little bit too fat on the snacks, and as a result he wasn't able to make the jump, so he can get in, go round, get up the ladder, and get inside whilst hanging his head in shame. The third person, Lengas Kerman, I believe his name was, he is more of an innovative one. He's been practicing his theory in those 2 years it took to get here, and he's going to try getting on the wing. Now, this may seem like the obvious thing to do, but to Kerbals, you gotta appreciate the fact that Kerbals don't think in the same way that humans do. Logical processes that go through human brains don't always apply in the same way to Kerbals. So, jump, and he is on perfectly. He is a clever one, this one. Absolutely. By Kerbal standards, certainly. I mean, Kerbals were able to develop rockets before they developed the wheel, but that does not by any means make them intelligent. They're so incomparable to humans that you can't really make any comparisons. Hence the phrase incomparable. So, fourth Kerbal. He isn't quite as daring or adventurous, so he decides to go for the good old thing and jump and splat and no. No, this one was another one who ate too many snacks. They were probably stealing them. These two were stealing them from the other two. Yes, it's all a major plot. But it backfired on them. Anyway, back to more sane commentary. No, actually no. You know what? I like being insane. Being insane and commentating at the same time is quite a measure of my ability to commentate, I suppose. I mean, insane people usually aren't very good at commentating, are they? I don't know what I'm talking about, but they're here. They're here, and that's the main thing. Nothing else matters. The plane has been landed successfully. All the Kerbals are alive and on the base via various means, and they can now board the capsule here. Or maybe not, because it's full, so they have to go board another one, because this guy is a failure, so he's been cast out from the group. So he's going to have to go and walk over and take this one. But otherwise, that is pretty much it for the base, and that's almost it for Lathe. We've just got to make a way to refuel this plane, and then I think that's it. I think we'll move on to the next moon. Because the thing is, right, we could spend 20 episodes making this Lathe base work, but the point is it's space tourism. We want to focus on being in space and doing spacey things and in between moons, so that's what's going to happen. So everything down on the base is fine, and now we can move on. Back to Kerbin, we load up, or we build, construct, and put on the pad another one of these planes. And the guy inside is not Matt Kerman, so he can't fly the plane. But luckily, that's not necessary. All we want to do is just park it here behind the runway and throttle up to max, burn the fuel unnecessarily. You might be asking, why did the engineers put all that fuel in if we need to take it out again? And that's a good question. It's because there's a bit of a disconnect between the management, the mission programmers, and the actual engineering team in KSP. Mainly that the mission programmers, me, and, you know, squad and whatever, don't seem to ever be able to talk to the Kerbals who build the ships. So we can't really tell them things like, oh, don't put Kerbals in this command pod, mate. Oh no, we can do that now. Sorry, I'm being an idiot. We can't seem to just tell them not to put all the fuel in, so, you know, Kerbin eventually going to run out of fossil fuels, and we're going to have to do something about that. We're going to have to find some new forms of energy. I mean, there's solar power. And in fact, there's a video I want to make about solar power. There is, basically, solar power is all well and good. It's a renewable energy source, way better than fossil fuels, but it's not reliable, and this is the main reason that solar power isn't particularly effective on Earth. It's the fact that it depends on A, weather. If there's clouds, you're not going to get an awful lot of sunlight, you're going to be less efficient, all bad stuff like that. Makes the investment cost not really worth the payback you get for it. And B, you only get light for 12 hours of the day, and you only get the most light for a couple of hours in the middle of the day. So solar power isn't particularly great, but it is the way forwards, I think. I definitely think it is the energy source of the future, because, hey, where does the energy come from? The sun. It's going to make sense to take the most direct route from turning that energy source into electricity, and that's solar power. However, it's clear that you can't really get effective solar power down on the surface of the planet. However, you can get effective solar power up in space. In fact, there's orbits around Earth and around Kerbin, obviously, that do give you sun-synchronous orbits, which mean that you basically have sun for 24 hours a day. So complete energy, and there's no clouds above you, obviously, because you're in space. They're all below you, which means that there's nothing to stop the light from getting to your solar panel. So you get about, I think you get something about 3 times the energy in space continuously that you would get during the 2 hours of good sunlight on a good day. So it's massively better to put it in space, but obviously there's problems with that, and I'm going to go into this discussion in a future video, because I've got some ideas for videos I want to make, and that is one of them. But for now, I need to focus on what's going on. So, I was talking all over this. We've built a platform, and we've put it down on the ground, and we've also built a buggy. And this buggy contains one of the 3-meter medium tanks and 2 of the air fuel tanks. Why is that capacity important? Well, it's the exact capacity of our SSTO. So one of these buggies is basically a canister that can refuel an entire single stage to orbit plane. And that's really, really awesome. There's enough fuel in that little thing to fuel this entire ship. And this means that when we have a platform down on the ground with 2 docking ports sticking up, and 2 vessels, the plane and the buggy, that can both independently dock to it, we have our method of refueling. Here it is, a platform, a buggy, and all we need to do now, after proving that it works, which it does, is send them out to Lathe. Now, we're not going to have time for that this episode, and mainly because I haven't actually done it yet. I need to go record that in a few minutes after this video ends. But what we can do is get the things prepared. So we'll take our buggies and we'll put them into orbit, and that's what the rest of this video will be. So here we are, plane. I've just basically proven that it can be refueled. That's all that's been done in this little segment that appears to have dragged on for a bit too long. Come on, you're just gonna look at the screen. Okay, hang on. We shall trim this here, and we'll take this now. There we go. Okay, let's move along swiftly. So, we're on the pad. We are on the pad indeed. And I'm trying to edit the video on the fly whilst I commentate it, but unfortunately, I seem to be encountering issues, but it's okay because we've launched, probably, by now, I'm guessing. And yes, we've got a couple of our buggies up on the top of the rocket. And I can't seem to be able to edit this damn video. Come on! Come on, Vegas. There we go. Okay, so a booster's probably separated by now. Let's have a look. Yes, we have lost one of our boosters, and we're following the standard launch procedure. The one that we've employed several hundreds of times. In fact, I can probably guess, actually. It's probably in the region of 100 and... I don't know, because this is the space year launch stage, which we've only started using really this year. And I've got 200 videos, so if we say about 30% of all videos, so 60. Yeah, 60 times you've probably seen this now. Although I don't think I'd include it in all those videos, so it's probably more like 40 times. For those of you who've watched every single video of mine, you've probably seen this launch 40 times before. And that may raise some interesting questions in you, like, why are you still showing it? Well, obviously the majority of people who watch my videos haven't seen all my videos before. In fact, I would like to test this. I would like to know how many people who watch this video are unique viewers and how many of them are subscribers who have come back having watched previous episodes. So if this video is the first video of mine that you've ever seen, or it's the first space tourism video that you've ever seen, tell me. Tell me in the comments, tell me on Twitter, whatever, just let me know. Because I think I aim my videos too much at my subscribers and not enough at just anyone who stumbles across the video. And you know, it's nice for the viewer, you get continuity between episodes, but I can still maintain that and, you know, try and make each video a bit more independent. Because I think that's a problem, that I base too much on subscribers when, to be honest, out of the 93,000, I only get 20,000 views per video. So there's a lot of subscribers there who don't watch it, and it could be even less depending on how many people are unique viewers to each video. But anyway, we're in space, we've got our payload up here in orbit, 71 kilometers circular. Now we burn this thing away, it hits somehow, and then it spins around, and then the engine collapses, and bang, and oh dear. And then quick save. So one launch later, and we're back here in orbit. There we go. And now we're going to dig up with a node, get RCS, and burn the hell forwards a little. And then, instead of burning back towards the plane, towards the sequence, the rocket, we shall spin this thing around first. And then we'll throttle up and then proceed to deorbit it. Which is all well and good. And that is pretty much the end of the episode. So, thank you very much for watching this episode. To summarise, if you would like to meet HOCgaming, you can do so if you're around in the UK on the 11th of January from 9:30 AM onwards till 4:30 PM GMT, you can come to Droitwich Library. There's a link in the description if you want to find out more information, and it's free admission, so there's no reason not to go. Thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you all next time, and I hope to see you there.